11 on NFL Primetime. How will Dion affect the battle between the Cowboys and Niners? Will Jerry Rice and the batter champs dig back to the spirit of '94? The Bears try to separate from the pack, but the tundra hasn't frozen just yet at Lambeau. Dan Marino broke another record, but the Pats want to spoil the party. The Bills get Marv Levy back. Would Thurman be sidelined again? Did the Rams barrel over the Panthers, who are looking for 5 in a row? Would the Chargers go to the air to try to stop the 8-1 Chiefs? Can Barry and the Lions make another late run at the playoffs? Haas returns to the Meadowlands, but would the Giants be doing the bullying? And Seahawks rookie Joey Galloway doesn't disappoint. NFL Primetime, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling your way. Next. Once again, everybody, I'm Chris Berman. Welcome to Week 11 of NFL Primetime. I'll tell you what, after last week, which was disappointing, starting with Cleveland's impending move, great games today, some great finishes, and a shocking development in Dallas. We will show it all to you, but I can't do that alone. It's too much. I got Tom Jackson, and I got the judge, Bill Pito. First, though, let's get you caught up on the late games around the NFL. We'll start at San Diego. Defending AFC champion San Diego Chargers in deep trouble. Lynn Elliott, 35-yard field goal. Chiefs now lead at 22-7, looking to go to 9-1. That game is under 4 minutes to go. In the desert, a game of not large import, but each team trying to get going in the second half. Minnesota and Arizona tied 24-all, under 9 minutes to go. Dave Craig to Wendell Gaines, a touchdown pass at 2 yards. 2-point conversion to Rob Moore has tied that for the Cards. Oh, by the way, San Francisco's playing Dallas. Oh, by the way, it's a rout. Oh, by the way, it's the Niners. Gerback a touchdown a couple minutes ago. San Francisco 38. Dallas 13, under 8 minutes to go in that game, as Troy Aikman is long gone with a bruised knee. Of course, we have Sunday Night Football here on ESPN, and we present to you two teams over 500. 5-4 Denver with the ex-49er offensive coordinator Mike Shanahan, now their head coach. 5-4 Philly with ex-49er defensive coordinator Ray Rhodes, now the Eagles head coach. Denver comes in hot. They've won 3 of the last 4 games, and each of those by 27 or more. But Rodney Peete is 4-1 as Eagles starter. That's the backdrop for Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, and Mark Malone at the Vet. For a preview, here's Mark. Mark?
All right, thanks, Chris. For Ray Rhodes and the Philadelphia Eagles, it's good news, bad news tonight. They'll be without starting right guard Joe Panos, who's out for the remainder of the year after tearing a rotator cuff. He's the 3rd starting offensive lineman to have been lost in the '95 Eagle campaign. Former 49er and Carolina Panther Harry Boatswain will replace Panos in the starting lineup. The good news is Philadelphia will have back wide receiver Fred Barnett after missing 2 weeks with a quad pull. The Eagles only hope that it's the Fred Barnett of old. So far this season, Barnett has only caught 1 pass of more than 20 yards, and his yards per reception is down more than 5 yards over his career average.
He's the big key. He's a guy that we've got to get going, because we've got to have a big-time player, and it's normally the position that he plays.
We have to start tailoring things to get him more involved, have some throws in the game plan that he can make some big plays. I mean, as far as a few of the down-the-field passes to a guy like Freddie, giving him an opportunity to run after the catch, and I think that'll help his game out a lot.
The Broncos, who come into tonight's game with the 3rd best pass defense in the entire NFL, are relatively healthy. Temperatures tonight will dip into the mid-30s. Winds up to about 15 miles an hour will make it feel like about 20 degrees. But other than that, Chris, weather shouldn't be a factor.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. We look forward to the game at the top of the hour, the Eagles hosting the Denver Broncos. Week 11, it was a doozy. When we return, Colts and Saints, the Marshall Plan would have worked in his hometown. And Joe Galloway, unstoppable for the Seabags. Back to NFL Primetime. Indianapolis Colts started the year with a lot of hope. They were tied for first for a while in the AFC East, struggling a little bit lately. New Orleans Saints are the last teams to win a game, but the Saints have been coming on. Colts, though, had something going for them today. If you've ever been to Bourbon Street in New Orleans, you need to get used to that situation a little bit. They came into town with 10 players who grew up in the Bayou, including Marshall Faulk. Here we go with the Marshall Plan of a big game for Ted Marchibroda. Well, Marchibroda And that was offensive coordinator Lenny Infante talking to his young quarterback, Paul Justin, says, hand it to the local kid, Marshall Faulk. He gets in here for a touchdown, 7-0 Colts. But the Saints come marching back. Jim Everett, the Torrance Small. It's a big pass. Touchdown, 7-7 at the half. Colts flat with the youngster Justin, the offensive MVP of the World League in the game. Justin the snaps, but falls on it just in time. Next play, Justin is sacked by Ronaldo Turnbull. The Saints can sack you, and Justin finished 10 of 13 for 90 yards. Jim Harbaugh hobbled with the groin, but would they bring him on? Well, you got Kerry Blanchard. He's 9 for 9. Field goals make it 9 for 10. Blocked by Turnbull. The Colts come away empty-handed. 7-7 game still in the third quarter. Everett to his tight end, Irv Smith. This kid's a good player. Irv Smith caught 9 for 83 today. Jim Mora says, let's get it in. We need Mora. Third and goal from the 2. Everett. Better early than late. Quit early. Touchdown, 14-7 Saints. So bring in Jim Harbaugh. Justin out, Harbaugh in. And Harbaugh, what does he do? He delivers, as he's done all year, to Roosevelt. In the flat, he takes it the rest of the way, and the game is tied 14-all. However, Roosevelt taunts with the spike, gives the Saints better field position on the ensuing kick. Leads to a field goal, 17-14 to Saints. Now, Harbaugh out of the pocket to Brian Stabline, not Kenny Stabline, the snake, but Brian Stabline. But they rolled, and Harbaugh's over the line of scrimmage, Tom.
Yeah, you can see the ball, the line of scrimmage there, clearly the 19-yard line. Harbaugh will fade to the 30 and then move through the pocket as he comes up the 25-yard line, and they're clearly across the line of scrimmage before he let go of the ball.
Good call by the officials. So Blanchard, looks like me off the 18th tee. It's a snap hook. It's in the woods. He better hit a provisional. They don't give him in football. And the former Saint kicker misses it. And the Saints beat the Colts 17-14. So the New Orleans Saints, after that awful start, have won 4 of their last 5, Tommy. And of those 4 of the last 5, they've beaten all teams with winning records. I mean, let's give the Saints the nod here. They've beaten, Miami, San Francisco, the Rams, and now the Colts. So give them credit, they're coming around.
Well, a much improved defense. When you think about Martin and Turnbull up front for that defensive line, they're rather small. The rushing yards that they were giving up through the first 5 weeks of the season, over 160 per game. They have almost cut that in half the last 4 or 5 games. So what they have done is now stop the run and start dictating. Then you can let those guys do what they do best, rush the passer.
And I think something else needs to be said. Look, he hadn't won a Super Bowl, he hadn't been to a championship game, but before Jim Mora coached the New Orleans Saints, they were awful. People want him out of town. They'll finish at 500 and maybe even a little better. He knows what he's doing, and he's showing it right now. When we return on NFL Primetime, we have plenty more to show you. The Bucs and Lions. Well, the Bucs try to make even Rasputin sweat a little bit. Wayne Fontes in a must-win. And the Panthers going for 5 in a row. But the Reverend Isaac Bruce had other ideas.
It rhymes. And also, it's hard to tell which team is in its first year. Seattle has a first-year coach and a quarterback who is regressing in Rick Meyer. The Seahawks' turnover differential is a -15. They're 3-6 and in last place. Jacksonville has a first-year coach and a quarterback who is progressing in Mark Brunell. The Jags are 3-6 and in last place. So which team is the expansion team? Answer, you can't really tell. Let's take a look. Erickson's Miami team beat Coughlin's Boston College team in September of 1993, now up against each other in the National Football League. No score first quarter. Chris Warren, the second leading rusher in the AFC. He's going to go 29 yards and a touchdown. It's 7-0 Seattle. The Jags quarterback, Mark Brunell, leads the team in rushing. First and goal at the 3. Brunell rolls left. Sprinting, touchdown. His second rushing TD this year. Tommy, we're tied at 7.
Yeah, take a look at a problem for the Jaguars defensively. The safeties at the bottom of the screen change the defensive scheme, go to man-to-man coverage off the blitz. Benny Clark at the top of the screen misses the call, leaves Joey Galloway alone in zone coverage for a touchdown.
14-7 Seattle. Now to the second quarter. Galloway, you remember the punt return from last week? Watch what he does here. Galloway seems to be hemmed in. Watch him stay on his feet. Brings it back the other way. And we're going to have a galloping Galloway. Watch Warren leading the play. The block right there. 86 yards for Galloway. Longest play from scrimmage in Seahawks history. 21-14 Seattle. Wow. Wow is right. Jags come right back. Next drive, 1st and 10 of the 15. Brunell goes back to pass. Ernest Givens from Louisville. Tied at 21, Tommy.
We take a look here again. Benny Clark, bottom of the screen. Joey Galloway comes up. We talk about this all the time. Bump coverage, but he doesn't get the bump. Allows Joey Galloway, who lined up on the numbers, to give himself some room. fade to the corner of the end zone, another touchdown.
Look at the numbers for Galloway. Late fourth quarter, Jaguars trail 38-30. Second and 10 at their 23. Brunell somehow staying up. Finds Willie Jackson hit by Jay Bellamy. It's a fumble. Can't have the turnover here. Seattle recovers. Dennis Erickson is now 3-0 against Tom Coughlin as Seattle wins it 47-30. The most points for Seattle in a game since 1985. Galloway last week, the longest punt return in Seattle history. This week, as we mentioned, the longest play from scrimmage in Seattle history. Another solid day for Warren, 27 carries, 121 yards. And Meyer with one of his better days in a while, 18-31, 244 yards and 2 scores. And Chris, Seattle now has won 2 in a row. They've scored 77 points in the last 2 games.
Well, they're going. I was waiting for Meyer to start going this year, and of course Galloway will help him loads. Well, Billy, Carolina Panthers had done something nobody had ever done before as an expansion. You first of all win 4 games at all, let alone win 4 games in a row. Teams who have been around 30 years don't do that in the NFL anymore. But it was the St. Louis Rams that got off to a good start this year. And you know what they had going for them today? Something old. Jackie Slater back for his 20th season. Something new, a spanking new building. And here we go, the Trans World Dome, 280 million, 65,000 plus. 65,598 on hand today to watch. Kerry Collins have a pass hit by Roman Candle Piper into the hands of Toby Wright. He was right. 4 interceptions against Collins today for the Rams. Here is Chris Miller, complete to the Reverend Isaac Bruce. Look at the moves he makes, Tom. Look at him dive down to the 12-yard line. Then, 2 plays later, Miller, he knows where the bread is buttered. It's Isaac Bruce. Touchdown, 12 yards. Look at the concentration.
Yeah, and a great job of catching the ball. And look at him keep his feet in bounds. Same time. Great job.
So Isaac Bruce, and the first passing touchdown allowed in the last 5 games by the Panthers have been great defensively the last month. But once it's done, here comes the offense, and a 14-7 Ram lead. The Panthers are in it. Score 14-10 now in the third quarter. Panthers driving, but Collins fumble, and the Rams have fallen on the football. Big third play coming up here for St. Louis. Chris Miller, flush from the pocket, finds one of our favorite players this year, Todd Heaton McKinchen. Downfield to the 2. He was shaken up in the play, but hung in there.
Yeah, great job here by center Vern Bostic. As you watch Darian Conner coming up the middle, watch him get leg whipped right there, and that's what allowed the flush from the pocket.
2 plays later, Miller goes to Connor's replacement, Brett Farnez, who's trying to cover Troy Drayton. It's a touchdown, 21-10 St. Louis. Carolina, well, some days you do look like a first-year team. Collins strip, bumble. It's picked up by Torrin Doran, and he tears the heart out of Carolina. Look at him go. Touchdown. In 2 games, both wins by the St. Louis Rams over Carolina. 13 turnovers, and they carried Jackie Slater off the field. He came back. He started playing in the 40s. He's still playing in the 90s. To be honest, he's played the 4th most games of anyone in the NFL. Today was 259. Only Blanda, Jim Marshall, Jan Stenerud Moore, new building, old player. Rams win at 28-17. Another 100-yard day for Isaac Bruce. That's 6 in a row. Bettis at 91 yards. The Bucks and the Lions. And, well, this was what we call a Rasputin game for Wayne Fox. He had won at 0-3, won at 2-5. He'd on make the playoffs, said the owner, or else. Fonz's Lions at 3-6 against the Bucs. So, why don't we give it to Barry Sanders? He only had a 200-yard half against Tampa Bay last year. So the reverse, where is everyone? 55 yards. It's a 14-10 Lion lead. But the Bucs fight back. Look at Jerry Ellison, looking like Willie Ellison. Look at the hole. And Tom, what about the tackling here?
Great job. No, not good tackling, but a great job of Ellison cutting back through the defenders and getting to the end zone.
I threw you a curveball. Nobody made a tackle. A nice run by Ellison. 17-14. Jason Hansen blocked field goal. Now watch what happens. Remember that Rams-Saints play last year? The ball is still alive in the end zone, and it's picked up by Curtis Buckley. And the offense get off the field. It was like a Norris Division game. They were caught with a line shift. There was like 50 players on the field. At any rate, it just goes as a missed field goal, the penalties nullified, etc. Well, meanwhile, it's Casey Weldon in for Gilbert, who is struggling. It's a fumble. Chris Spielman recovers, leads to a field goal, 20-17 Detroit. Fourth quarter, 3rd and 4 for Detroit. Scott Mitchell, the Brett Perriman. Look at Perriman down to the 1-yard line, Tom.
Yeah, you'll see Perriman here on the replay, bottom of the screen. This is a double zone. Thomas Everett getting his half of the football field. He fades to the numbers a little too far. Perriman gets inside of him. Ball delivered very nicely by Scott Mitchell.
And so Mitchell, who's one of the taller players in the league, dives across the line. Touchdown, Lions by 10. Under a minute to go, 3rd and 30. And Van Malone gets called for pass interference. So Tampa Bay has the ball on the 1, which Ellison runs in for a touchdown, 27-24. Here comes the onside kick. But come on, who's dead? But Herman Moore, not only does he make leaping catches of passes, he makes leaping catches of onside kicks. Wayne Fonts, now the all-time winner, passing George Wilson, the all-time winner for Lions coaches with his 56th win. And here's Detroit. They had to win it. They did. They win at 27-24. Sanders at 92 yards. Perriman 10 for $125 more. Also a 100-yard game and caught 9 balls. And well, what can we say about Wayne? 3 for 3 in the games he had to have. 3 for 3 for Rasputin.
You know, we talked about it last week that this was a must-win situation, and Detroit would find a way to win the football game. And I thought that Scott Mitchell played extremely well today. You got good running from Barry Sanders, but I want to talk a minute about the mentality of this football team. I think that Wayne never knows what team is going to show up next week against the Chicago Bears. It's not a must-win situation. I'm sure that they may not win, but I think there's no excuse for a football team playing as well as they can play and then coming up a la the way they came up against Atlanta. You just don't know which team's going to play.
But you got to give them the nod when they try to when they try to short sheet his bed or poison the food. The Lions and Wayne Fonts always come out on top. We shall see what they do at Chicago next week, Tommy. Shall be interesting. When we return, Marv Levy, one of the best sights all year. Marv back on the sideline for the Bills, and for the 151st time, Packers and the Bears.
I wasn't looking for love.
I'd like to welcome those of you that have watched the 49ers beat the Cowboys 38-20. Those of you that have watched the Chiefs beat the Chargers 22-7. Welcome to NFL Primetime. Last week, as we started the show, it was a bad week for football. The games weren't really that interesting. The Cleveland Browns looked like they were moving out of town. You've had football, you've got artificial turf injuries, you've got domes, you've got things that weren't the way they designed this game. But today, Chicago, Green Bay, in the snow, wind chill 15 degrees at the almost frozen tundra of Lambeau Field in a game for first place, the 151st meeting. This is the National Football League. Here we go. From Lambeau, Brett Favre. Ankle made him iffy all week. He started. Reggie White didn't start for only the second time in his career, but he still was a factor. Favre's first test. He throws to Mark Ingram, 28 yards against the Bears, and a first down. He's open by 5 yards. That leads to a screen pass to Edgar Allan Poe Bennett. Quote the Packers, nevermore. Look at the blocking, look at the touchdown. Very early, a 7-7 game.
Yeah, and obviously Coach Holmgren has communicated everybody has to block. Look at Ingram down at the end zone, blocking, giving Bennett a path to get that score.
The Packers' first play on the next drive. Favre, Robert Brooks. He's open by 5 yards. Makes the move in the end zone. 14-7 Pack. Mark Carrier sprained the knee on the play, did not return. Favre completed his first 8 passes, 16 of 21 in the first half for almost 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. What about Reggie, Tommy?
Well, you see Reggie there spot shadowed. You're going to see him go by the tight end, Ryan Wetnight, and then get to the quarterback right there for the sack.
And his numbers in the first half, 4 tackles, a sack, 5 quarterback pressures. He didn't start. 13 seconds left in the half, though. The Bears go the length of the field in a minute. Eric Kramer to Curtis Conway, touchdown. Ties Ken Cavanaugh's record from the 40s with touchdown catches in 7 straight games, or 21 all. What a game this was. The rookie Rashaan Salam, 1-yard plunge, 28-21 Wannstedt Bears. Packers first play after the ensuing kickoff. Favre to Robert Brooks. He's open by 5 yards. He beats James Burton. Brooks goes into the end zone and keeps on running. You think the Pack don't like their crowd at Lambeau? Hey, look at me now. We're tied 28 all. Fourth quarter, the Pack comes back. Have you seen this before? It's a screen to Edgar Bennett. Same play, same dive, same result. 35-28 Pack. Fourth and 2 Bears driving. Kramer. But it's picked off by, well, the Butler did it. Leroy Butler did it. But Chicago, Gutty gets the ball back. Wannstedt saved his timeouts. Kramer to Jeff Graham, crackers it for 21 yards. Same drive. Tick, 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 tick. 10, 9, 8. It's incomplete to Graham. How much time will they have left? A throw to Michael Tinson. Incomplete. There's just 2 seconds to go. Can the Bears tie it? Kramer. Good rush by the Pack. Steps up. Incomplete. For the 6th time in the last 7 meetings, it's the Packers over the Bears in a game with 9 touchdowns. The Packers beat the Bears 35-28. Brett Favre, 5 touchdown passes, 300-yard games in both wins this year against the Chicago Bears. Kramer also had a 300-yard game. Graham, a 100-yard receiving game. Brooks, 138 yards receiving. Whew, Tommy, these are the Packers and the Bears. But you know what? First of all, they ought to take a medicine ball like Thursday and Friday every week and throw it at Brett Favre's ankle, because if he plays this way when he's hurt, heaven forbid if he's 100%.
Well, it seemed like we saw more scoring today than the previous 150 meetings between these two teams. But you saw two quarterbacks on top of their game using the weapons that their coaches have put in place. And I think that Brett Favre was never better. The 5 touchdowns today, going to be hard to deal with the rest of the season. Both defenses left a lot to be desired, not only in terms of coverage, where everybody seemed like they were open by 5 yards every play, but also in terms of tackling.
Brett Favre is tough. He's now made 55 straight starts. That's the most for a quarterback right now running the National Football League as we go inside the numbers. He's also tough on opponents, most notably the Chicago Bears. We told you he's thrown for over close to 650 this year against Chicago. And the Packers, 6 wins, 18 touchdown passes, only 2 picks. He had a couple recently in which he'd like to have back. 4 losses. He's thrown 9 interceptions. But the win makes the Pack 6-4 and the Bears 6-4, tied for first place atop the NFC Norris division. When we return on NFL Primetime, the Bills pass rush trying to get to the run and shoot of Atlanta. Minnesota and Arizona 24-all, the 19th overtime game this season. That ties the single-season record set back in '83. And for the Vikes, the 8th overtime game in the last 20 games. Let's move on now to the AFC East. Well, like old times, the Bills and Dolphins began the day tied in first at 6-3. The Bills were hosting another first-place team, the Atlanta Falcons, with the same record, the last of the Mohegans, a run-and-shoot team going into blustery Edmund Fitzgerald-type weather at Rich Stadium, where the Bills have been so good and undefeated this year. But better than all that going for Buffalo was the return of their head coach, Marv Levy. And Marv so loved by the team, by the community, by everyone. First quarter, though, Tommy, with the wind swirling, Atlanta tried to run, didn't they?
Yeah, inside move by Bruce Smith. Bob Whitfield allowed him to go inside. They run the shovel pass, which we very seldom see be successful, right there for 11 yards.
And Jeff George hands to Ironhead. It's a touchdown. The Falcons running early, 7-0 lead. Thurman Thomas was iffy right up until kickoff. He played, but the youngster Derek Holmes was the man that did the bulk of the work on the ground. What a find he is late in the draft this year, as is Terrell Davis for Denver. Jim Kelly to Billy Brooks, 31 yards. They've hooked up again, and we're tied at 7. Jimbo's 7 for 7. No one more experienced throwing into that win than Jim Kelly. Delani Johnson, the youngster, coughs it up. Chris Dolman, defensive end, with the pickoff. But Alton Montgomery is flagged, and the Bills capitalize on the break. Kelly, Brooks, 15-yard touchdown, 7 TDs for the veteran Brooks in 6 games, 14-7. Then Kelly gives to Thomas. He runs into John Fina, his own left tackle. He would be shaken up with lead, but would return. Bills settle for a field goal on that drive, and then George to Terrence Mathis. And chances are it's a 32-yard gain. Ironhead scores on the next play. We're tied at 17. Bills, though, drive down the field, and Steve Christie, lightning striking again. Nature's taken over his one-track mind. Baby, I could sing the whole song. 20-17 Buffalo, but I won't. Kelly tries to hit Russell Copeland in the flat. Anthony Phillips picks it off. Watch what happens. Kelly makes a great athletic tackle. But unfortunately, this is, watch carefully here. Anthony Phillips, turn away if you don't want to see this. Phillips' leg snaps. Clean tackle. A good play by Kelly, but boy, broken tibia, fibula. Everyone obviously concerned on hopefully Anthony Phillips have successful surgery on it, and we'll be back in action one day. 23-17, the Bills late in the fourth. George to Eric Metcalf, 27-yard gain. Falcons drive. George tries for the win, but Bert Emanuel isn't there. Kurt Schultz, he knows everything. And the Bills remain undefeated at home this year. They beat the Falcons 23-17. Look at this. The Bills 7-3 on the year, as despite some good numbers for that run and shoot. It was a big game for the youngster Derek Holmes, and afterwards, Marv Levy talked about getting back on the sidelines.
Today I had to make decisions between do we go for it on 4th down or not. At home I had to decide between potato chips and popcorn, you know.
Oh boy, just a month after surgery, it's great to see Marv back. Holmes at 100 yards. But numbers, well, talk about numbers, 47,003. That was the record for passing yards set by Fran Tarkin until Dan Marino hits Irving Pryor. early in the game against the Patriots. Don Shula says, what is your name again, young man? Where have you been? Well, you know where he's been. Those two have got great work left in him, obviously, as Dan still going for all the records this year. But not impressed with the Patriots. Curtis Martin, 19 yards. Tommy, and then take a break.
You're going to see number 28, Gene Atkins, do a fade right there. The Ben coach come off his man. Almost got the interception.
4th and 1, though, as Bill Parcells was wont to do, to go for it. Touchdown, 7-0 P-Men. Dolphins, though, come right back. As Marino, play action to Byers, hits Blaney Pomaly. Splits the defense into the end zone. Touchdown, we're tied at 7. After Stoyanovic's field goal very late in the first half, made it 10-7 Dolphins. Then it's Dave Meggett, and
look at that little Meggett run.
Haven't been able to say this much, Tommy, this year, but look at him go. Remember the last minute and a half, and Meggett brings it all the way up to the 39-yard line. So Matt Barr, who missed a 19-yarder off the crossbar, which is impossible to do, then hits the longest of his career, and he's been around since 79. That's a 55-yarder, 10-10 at the half. Third quarter, Drew Bledsoe to Vincent Ultimate Brisby. He's open by 5 yards. 17-10 Patriots. But the Dolphins come right back. Marino, play action to O.J. McDuffie. Beautiful pass, tied at 17.
Yeah, and most times defensive mistakes are made in terms of assignments. O.J. McDuffie in motion. Maurice Hurst picked by his own teammate Ricky Reynolds and leaves McDuffie open to the corner of the end zone.
Game tied at 17, all Marino. First rush by 53, Chris Slade. Then Willis McGinnis, number 55. It's a fumble. Troy Barnett recovers for the Patriots. That leads, just like they diagrammed it. Bledsoe doink, Alpha Meggett's hands into Ben. Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoach's hands. 24-17 Pats. Curtis Martin, a 1-yard run in the fourth quarter. 31-17 Pats. Dolphins driving. Can't believe they've given up 31 in New England. Marino presses. Bad throw. Myron Guyton picks it off. So Miami, since Marino had returned, had won their 2 games and had held their opponents under 20. With San Francisco coming up on a Monday night in a week, maybe they look past the Patriots. Team they beat by 17 early this year up in New England. But this time it's the Patriots that have a head of steam. And the Patriots beat the Dolphins 34-17. So Tommy, at the end of the day, the AFC East, after 10 games played, it's the Buffalo Bills, who are alone at 7-3. And the Miami Dolphins at 6-4, and of course a welcome sight to have Marv Levy back. Give the Bills credit; they understand how to play in that win. Some of Jim Kelly's throws didn't look great, but he threw it while his guys were open, so it didn't matter if the wind blew it a little off course.
Balls delivered on time.
Yes.
He knows it's not going to get there in a perfect spiral, but it's going to get there before the defenders can close. And I think an awfully tall order today for the Falcons when you talk about the emotional edge that the Bills would have getting Marv Levy back on the sidelines, getting Thurman Thomas back in that lineup. When you look at the next game between the Dolphins and the Patriots, I think certainly it's a clear picture. When Curtis Martin runs well for Bill Parcells, it takes some of the pressure off Drew Bledsoe and allows him to get more comfortable than he's been in the past. Certainly we saw some contributions as well from David Meggett in the special teams. But that said, Drew Bledsoe still does not look like the Drew Bledsoe that we saw most of last year.
Although wins will cure that a little bit. One little note that we're amazed at. Bruce Smith sacked Jeff George twice today. He's now sacked him 9.5 times in his career when he used to play for the Colts, but it's not even close to the all-time leader. Ken O'Brien, 17.5 times sacked by Bruce Smith. You got to give Kenny the nod for hanging around that long. But at any rate, a couple of sacks by Smith and the Bills win the game. When we return, I had to get that out. That's the most amazing number of the week. I don't care. Well, oh yeah, the 49ers played the Cowboys, didn't they, Tom? Jerry Rice and company. Harvey as Jeff Hostetler returns for the first time in the Meadowlands. That was his last game when he was coached by Ray Handley. When he was at the Giants, led them to a Super Bowl. Dave Brown back to pass, and Pat Swilling. It's a fumble. Anthony Smith recovers. The Raiders lead the league in takeaways. They're 26th of the year. Pat Swilling having a big year.
One of the great pass rushers of all time. Great underneath move on Doug Riesenberg, and then reaching out and popping the ball out for the fumble.
3 plays later, Hostetler to Rocket Ismail. Beautiful pass. The Raiders pass the game 10-0 Raiders. They lead at 10-3 at the half. But after that, the Giants pretty much held them in check. Dave Brown was gutty. Arthur Marshall couldn't come up with this, though. And the Giants settle for a field goal. It's a 10-6 game. Giants are having scoring trouble. But no trouble dealing with Steve Wisniewski as Mike Strahan says, get out of here. With the score 10-6, Giants inside the 20 again, this time 3rd and short. Brown to Marshall. Hangs on at the first down. Next play, Brown. The quarterback sneak looking very Haas-like. 13-10, the Giants smelling upset.
And again, we see a defensive mistake in terms of assignments. You're going to watch the motion by Rodney Hampton. Watch both linebackers. I don't think you need two to cover him. As they move out, leave the middle open for the quarterback draw.
And so Brown gives the Giants the lead. But Hostetler says, wait a minute, I used to play here, but Phillippe Sparks says you don't play here anymore. A beautiful interception. Timmy Brown contested it, but it was a good call. Look at the juggle. He grabs it, he's down, and the Giants get the ball on the touchback. But the Raiders get the ball back after a punt. 3rd and 6, Haas scrambling. But a penalty, he was short, and it's Sparks involved again, this time in a negative play for the Giants. Hit him and went to the head. They flagged it, and it helped the Raiders get a first down, which helped them get a touchdown. Harvey Williams, 85 yards, and the touchdown on the 4th, 17-13. Phillippe Sparks still upset at the call. With 4 minutes to go, the Giants on 4th and 2 keep the drive going. Mike Gerard, 5 yards, down to the 40. Now it's 4th and 8, under 2 minutes to go. The Giants need a miracle. Big Chester McLaughlin, one of the best in the business, tips the ball. Arthur Marshall, after the ball change direction, can't handle it. Giant fans, hey, Giants played, they were game today. And the Raiders struggle for the second straight time on the road, struggling at Cincy, struggling at the Giants. When you're 8-2, you don't have to apologize. The Oakland Raiders are 8-2, heading into their home game against Dallas next week. The Giants fall to 3-7. When we return, we'd like to welcome those of you that watch the Vikings and the Cardinals go to overtime. The win. No, that's what we have built. I gave nothing away.
Okay.
It's your turn. See, now they're going to watch. Now they're going to watch. We got him.
After the Vikes lost to Chicago on Monday night of Week 9, Minnesota coach Dennis Green said the Vikes could win the rest of their games. You got to say something when you're 3-5. But last week the Vikes edged Green Bay in just about a must-win game, so 1 down, 7 to go. And away we go to Arizona. You're dying to see who won this game. Warren Moon went over 40,000 yards last week in Arizona Sunday. Second quarter, over the middle to a wide-open Jake Reed, 32 yards and a touchdown, 10-0 Minnesota. Next drive, Cardinals Dave Craig. Frank Sanders, watch this great catch by Sanders. Same drive now. Craig, the quick slant to Rob Moore, 10 yards and a touchdown. Tommy, what do you have?
Well, a case of Dwayne Washington, the cornerback, and a fine when he is lining up a little deep there. You're on the 10-yard line. He's on the 2. He fades to the goal line, doesn't cut off the slant pattern, an easy throw there.
Still in the second, Vikes driving. Moon to Chris Carter, who always
does nothing but catch touchdown.
Little controversy, though. Looks like Carter only had 1 foot in. Refs rule a TD, TJ.
Yeah, you can see the officials rule that he was actually pushed out right here by Tito Paul, even though he only got 1 foot in bounds.
6th straight game, the Cards have allowed 2 or more touchdown passes, 17-7 Vikes. 4th quarter, Vikes up 24-16. Craig, the Wendell gains, who gains 2 yards and a touchdown. Cards down 2. Craig says, hey, let's go for 2, and they would. Craig to Rob Moore. He's got the 2-point conversion. 24-24. We're tied. And we head into overtime in the OT. The Vikes on the 50. Moon over the middle. Kadri Ismail. Oh, he stayed on his feet. This is the ball game if he can get into the end zone. Ismail all the way in for the game-winning touchdown. And the Vikings with a dramatic victory over Arizona, 30-24. It's the 19th overtime game this year in the NFL. That ties the record for most OT games in a season. Vikes into overtime for the 8th time in the last 20 regular season games. Vikes are 4-4 in those 8 games. The Bengals at the Houston Oilers. Bud Adams in attendance at what is or was Houston's #1 professional sports team. Opening kickoff. Jeff Hill returning at 41 yards and tack on a face mask penalty. So the Bengals got great field position. 2nd and 10, Oilers 26. Blake scrambles for 17 yards, 7 carries, 49 yards rushing for Blake. 2nd and go for the 1. Blake to Eric Bieniemy. Touchdown. Bieniemy's got a whole lot of family members in the stands. It's 7-0 Cincinnati. Still first quarter. Blake picked off. Eddie Robinson back the other way. The 30, the 20, the 10. 49 yards and a touchdown. Oilers 19 takeaways this year. 12 interceptions in the last 6 games. It's 10-7 Oilers. 2nd quarter now. 10-10 tie. Off the kickoff. Mel Gray. A rough game. Fumbles here. Whoa, who's got it? I got it. You got it. Bengals have it. They do. At the 8. 3rd and 10 from the 8. Blake scrambles. Incomplete, though, into double coverage. Tommy.
Yeah, you see Blake fade to the sideline there, throwing the double coverage. Meanwhile, Carl Pickens coming open. But once you move to the sideline, you shorten your field of vision and couldn't deliver the football.
On a 3rd and 1, Blake Pickens, 30 yards and a touchdown, 23-13 Cincinnati. Then the hits happen. Chandler nailed in a knee by Roger Jones. He would not return. X-rays negative, and MRI is set for Monday on Chandler's right knee. Jerry Rome goes to Will Fewer, not Steve McNair. It's a war zone out there. Fewer to Chris Sanders. Hit hard, stays down. Tough hit. He was dazed, but okay. Same series. Oilers must punt. Camarillo's punt. Rejected by Darrell Williams. Who's got it? Look at this. Pick it up, somebody. No one can pick it up. A safety, 25-13 Bengals. 4th quarter, more problems for the special teams. Mel Gray, 2nd fumble. Jason Burns recovers on the Oilers' 12. Ensuing play. Blake to Pickens. 13th touchdown reception for Pickens. That's a new team record, and Cincinnati goes on to win by the final score of 32-25. The Bengals, the worst D in the entire league coming in, but they forced 4 turnovers, record 4 sacks. Pickens, 7 catches, 108 yards. Blake, 21-34 for 220 yards. And Chris, the first win for Cincinnati in Houston in some 11 years.
By the way, Bud Adams, Billy's put off a meeting tomorrow with the mayor of Nashville, says he needs more time, so maybe some hope yet for the Oilers staying in Houston. Well. November 12th. We've been looking at this one for a long time. San Francisco at Dallas, except this one just looked like a blowout. Dallas was 8-1. Defending champion San Francisco 5-4. Steve Young not starting. Elvis Gerback starts at quarterback. Steve Wallace not there to block Charles Haley at the left tackle position. Deion Sanders, now a Cowboy. Offensive and defensive coordinator from last year, gone. Blowout, written all over it for the 49ers. That's why they play the games. Here you go from Big D. Deion, fired up. Steve Young, game time decision, but they knew a day or two ago he wouldn't go. Barry Switzer, 0-2 last year against George Seifert. Could he turn it around this year? Well, everything was pointed toward Dallas, except for the defense. Look at Jerry Rice split the defense. He's gone. Elvis Gerback hits him. Rice does the rest. 81 yards. Surprise. 7-0 Niners.
Chris, I said that Darren Smith was a great underneath cover guy as a linebacker. I did not say put him on Jerry Rice one-on-one. That was not the game plan.
A short passing, let the stars do the rest. Then Aikman blitzed by Marquez Pope. His left knee hits the turf. Next play, Aikman to Irvin. Marquez Pope strips him of the ball. Merton Hanks, he could go all the way. 36 yards and the duck walk. Very Deion-like, 14-0 Niners. Aikman had to leave the game with a badly bruised left knee. Would not return after this series when Ricky Jackson picks him off, Tom.
Yeah, the matchup here between Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice. You see Deion get rid of him right there. He wants the football. Elvis Gerback a little bit late with the delivery, but you always look to Rice.
Well, the Niners kick a field goal. They lead 17-0. Here's the next possession in which Aikman was still in. Dana Stubblefield and the #1 defense sack him. Aikman comes down. Now he leaves the game after a 4-for-6 performance and the team down 17-0. I'll have a milk. Gerback. Oh, man, he was much more than a hound dog. To Jerry Rice, 29 yards. Leads to a Derek Lavelle score. Rice in the first half at $155 against the second-ranked defense in football. Emmitt Smith. Now, you know, you're only going to contain him for a while. A 1-yard run for the Cowboys. Still trail it 24-7 late in the second. Then, a drive that started in the shadow of their own goalpost with 6.5 minutes to go. Gerback to Derek Lavelle, 19 yards, 31-7. San Francisco at the half. One to forget for the Cowboys. Third quarter, as they did last year in the title game, the Cowboys came out strong. Emmitt Smith, let him go. 31 yards. He had a 100-yard day, leads to a field goal, 31-10. Dallas within 3 touchdowns. It's 31-13 as Steve Young helping call the plays, but Elvis Gerback had this under control. They were doing the jailhouse rock. 38-13 Niners. Nate Newton, Emmitt, can't believe it. Niners. An elation-filled sideline. Jason Garrett came in late for Wade Wilson. An 8-yard touchdown pass to Michael Irvin. He's the all-time receiving yard Cowboy leader. But the Cowboys try an onside kick. Niners recover. Jerry Jones on the sidelines the whole game. Was in shock along with the rest of the Cowboys. Oh, they may play again. But in the last 2 seasons, it's San Francisco 3 and Dallas nothing. The 49ers beat the Cowboys 38-20 in an absolutely shocking development. Dallas only their second loss in 10 games for the Niners, a game they had to have. Very few believed they could get it, except those in the locker room.
This was a message game, basically. You know, look at the score. I mean, they didn't score until the fourth quarter, 4 minutes. We didn't hang our hats. You know, we came out and we played 4 quarters.
They played 4 quarters indeed. Now, you know, it's only one game, and Dallas is certainly in the driver's seat for home field advantage, etc. I thought the most impressive part of the game, outside of the way the Niners came out, 6.5 minutes to go, Tom. They were about the 5 or 6 yard line. Dallas had the momentum at the time. Looked like they were going to take it away from the 49ers, maybe get the ball in good field position, score a field goal, score a touchdown, get close. Gerback leads them on a drive, 6 minutes, and puts them up 31-7. See ya.
This is a gigantic football game. I want to apologize to all the 49er fans for anything that I said this morning. I think that what this game does is show a team that has heart. And I think that certainly the 49ers have the heart of a champion. When you are crippled by injuries, if you come out and play with emotion, if you prepare well, you can come out and do what they did today. I think conversely, certainly we saw the Cowboys in a situation where they did not prepare well for this football game. I think they took it for granted that they were going to come out and blow the 49ers off the football field. That's a big mistake when you're playing the defending champions. And a well-conceived game plan, especially on the offensive end by the 49ers. The short passing game that Sterling Sharp talked about this morning, delivering those passes and then allowing the 49ers to get upfield with the football. And maybe there's never been a better receiver than Jerry Rice at catching the football and then making yards.
Tressman and Carroll, the coordinators, and George Seifert had the game plan scoped out. And the San Francisco 49ers, well, it's a game of attitude. Their attitude's there now for the second part of the season, and Dallas has to wonder, can they beat San Francisco? They still have to scratch their head. We got more football. They have more. What do you have?
Here's what we have. My primetime player, Seattle rookie receiver Joey Galloway. He caught 5 catches for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also gets a game ball for running 86 yards for a score on a reverse, the longest run in Seattle history, Tommy.
My primetime player, Brett Favre, the Green Bay Packers, 25 of 33, 336 yards and 5 touchdowns. He gets a game ball, boom.
My primetime player, the greatest receiver ever to play the game. Showed it again today. Took the opening pass, 181 yards. The 49ers were never headed. 5 catches, $161, and a large touchdown. Jerry Rice on a 300-yard day for Elvis Gerback. It's my primetime player game ball. We'll be back. We'll be back. Last year, a storybook season for the San Diego Chargers. This year, team picked 4th or by some 5th in the AFC West, like the Chargers were a year ago, the Kansas City Chiefs. But it's been a storybook season for them. Marcus Allen, 16 yards out of the 6-yard line. Then for the 8-1 Chiefs, so they go back to Allen. Play action to Allen. He's in the end zone. Steve, I got you, babe. Bono, 7-0 Chiefs.
Yeah, after the fake here, you see Will Shields with the spot shadow. He starts to turn the corner, but he turns around. He sees Chris Mims, makes the great block to get Bono into the end zone.
Who says number 13 is unlucky? Not this year. Bolts respond. Stan Humphries in the big passing game to Ronnie Harmon. Such an excellent receiver out of the backfield, 31 yards. Then to the air again on play action. Without Natron Means, they had to do it through the air. Dwayne Young, the big tight end of the 7. But, oh, the Chargers just fumble in the red zone all year long. Mark Collins with the hit. But the officials say, no, you keep the ball. Marty Schottenheimer can't believe it. His team is so good with the turnovers. So without Natron, they gave it to Rodney Culver. And a 2-yard run on the break, and we're tied at 7. In the second half, the Chiefs lead at 13-7, and Bono. The swing lateral to Danon Hughes. Hughes to Lake Dawson. What a play, but caught but not ruled a touchdown. Let's have another look. The first pass ruled a forward pass, and you know what? At close look, I think it was. It wasn't a play, but it just was forward. So good call. Bono says, okay, fine. I'll go back to Lake Dawson to the 1. And 2 plays later, who better to find his way in the end zone from short yardage? Marcus Allen, 124 touchdown of his career, 19-7 Chiefs. Chargers offense struggling all day. Give you 2 reasons why. Derek Thomas, 58, and Neil Smith. No running game with Means. Big defense by the Chiefs. Another solid performance by Kansas City. Folks, the Kansas City Chiefs have the best record in football. They're tied with no one. They're 9-1. The Chiefs have swept the Chargers for the 4th time in 5 years. They win at the Bolts by the count of 22-7. So, just when you think you know the plot, the door is now wide open for the Super Bowl thanks to what we saw in Dallas.
Well, we were certainly worried about the disparity between the Cowboys and the other 29 teams in the league, and I think that the 49ers have now given us a reason to watch the rest of the season.
Well, the rest of the season shall be intriguing. A wild development at Dallas, some great games elsewhere. Hope you enjoyed Primetime. For Tom Jackson and Bill Pito, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching.